All right, what's going on, y'all? This is D-Trav, and welcome back to KnicksatniteTv. Tonight, it's a special night. We got two special guests here. To my left, we have Mr. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
My name is Paul Knepper.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote the book, The Knicks of the 90s, Ewing, Oakley, Starks, and the Brawlers that almost won it all. So I'm excited to be on the show. Talk a little Knicks with you guys, a little 90s Knicks, a little current Knicks. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Right, and beneath me, we have my main man here. What's your name?
What's up, man? Everybody. I'm known as D.O., but everybody calls me Drugz Only. I got a tape out right now called Knickstape. And, thanks for having me on the show, bro. Let's get it, man. Let's go.
New York Knicks, we back. Spotting up for the three, or quick pass behind your back. Block your man out the paint when you crash the boards. 5 seconds on the clock, so it's time to score. You better step up your game. There's no bigger place than the Garden. You officially on the biggest stage. Hit him with the cross or the fade away. Let him know it's not a game that you came to play. It's time to rep for the city. New York is the Mecca. Anybody come in our house, you gotta check them. Can't forget legends like Walt or King. PE in the paint or starts from 3. Melo had the Garden rocking when he joined the team. The future looking right for our next regime. With our 2 cornerstones, RJ and Mitch, watching Knicks at night. New York Knicks. I keep hearing New York that and New York this. Nobody run New York like the New York Knicks.
Correlate as far as it goes as, Paul, he wrote a book about the Knicks in the 90s, and right now you got a mixtape out about the current Knicks. So everything, kind of intertwines with each other. So I want to start off with, I'm going to probably ask you guys the same type of questions since, everything is kind of related as far as Knicks, as far, things like that. So I'm going to start off with you, Paul, okay? So you wrote, where are you from, actually, Paul?
So I grew up I lived in Queens, so I was 8 years old, and then moved out to Long Island.
Okay. And so you grew up in Long Island?
Yeah.
And when did you decided that you wanted to have a career as a writer?
Really a few years ago. I'm actually a lawyer. I practiced law for a long time. Wasn't very happy doing it, and so I decided to make a change a few years ago and pursue writing, and I wrote this book.
Right. So same question for you. As we're gonna go down to Drugz Only. Where you from?
All right.
And where did you grow up in?
Yeah, I'm born and raised Bronx, New York, man. Bronx, New York. I'm currently upstate, though, right now, Albany, New York.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? But Bronx all my life, and I've been up here for a few years.
All right. And what made you decide to become a rapper or artist?
I've been making music since, like, the early 2000s. And, I really just, like, recently got really right back into music. And, so I'm just trying to put my print on the game, man. You know how that goes. That's
good. So we got Queens in the building, Bronx, and Brooklyn.
That's right.
We got 3 of the 5 boroughs here. Right. So if you guys don't know, Drugz Only, he's the guy on my intro. So if you listen to the intro, he's the one over there spitting those bars. So
yes.
I appreciate that. Thank you for that. So now let's get back to you, Paul. I just want to know what inspired you to write the book that you wrote about the 90s Knicks.
Yeah, I grew up on those teams. I was a huge fan of the 90s Knicks, and, I'm still a huge Knicks fan. But as you know, the last couple decades have been kind of brutal. So I still think about those 90s teams a lot. And I know a lot of people have nostalgia for those 90s teams because they were so loved at the time. People loved the way they played, the way they competed on the court, their toughness, and so I figured, I've been thinking about it. I actually thought to myself, somebody should write a book about this team, and my next thought was, well, why not me? And I got to work.
Right, and you're right. We always think about the 90s Knicks because, call me a fool, but last year when we had David Fizdale, and then we got Bobby Portis, and then we got all those guys that we got last year, I was thinking they was bringing back tough players like the 90s. So, I thought it was going to bring back that toughness. But unfortunately, it didn't happen, you know. But like you said, we always think about the '90s Knicks. That was a good time. And as far as the '90 Knicks go, right? And you wrote about the '90s Knicks. Did you often attend Knicks games back then? Like, what was it like? Did you attend Knicks games back in the '90s?
Yeah, I probably went to a couple of games a year. My dad would maybe take me a couple of games a year. I had an older cousin who took me to games too. So between them, I went to a couple of games a year.
Right. And what about you, Drugz?
Oh, I mean, to be honest, I recently just started going to Knicks games, but I've been watching the Knicks, like, you know, since the Pat Ewing era, John Starks, you know, Oakley. Those my guys. Like I said, I never missed a game. I always been locked in, man. You know, Knicks fans from day one.
Right. So what made you decide to make a little EP? Is that what you call it, an EP, right?
Yeah, because it's an EP.
What made you decide to write an EP about the Knicks?
You know, actually, this wasn't even planned. This wasn't. To be honest with you, this wasn't planned. You know, I'm a big Knicks fan. I actually, when I came back to making music, my first song I made was called Porzingis, and that song got me buzzing. Like, you know, like in Germany, you know, overseas, like I started getting a big fan base.
Right.
And so one day my friend, we was joking. He was like, "Yo, what's up, man? You're a big Knicks fan. Why don't you make a tape for the Knicks?" I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna do that." And then it just happened. Like, I got a team of producers. I got 3 producers.
Right.
And shout out to them because they the ones that made all the beats on the album. And we just sat down, you know, got the beats together, and there you go. You know, I just made Knickstape. I put all the lyrics to them songs in 2 days. I knocked those lyrics out in 2 days. And I just went right in the studio. In one session, I laid the whole album down in one session. So
wow, that's impressive.
it was amazing, man.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you called your album the Knickstape. I remember the Knickstape when it first started. That was 2013 with
2013. Around the Mellow on them era.
But yeah, besides the '90s, that's when the Knicks were actually good. Then, right? When we had Jason Kidd, you know, New York was buzzing. Like, the NBA is not the same when the Knicks are not as good, you know. I remember 2013 when we were setting the records for hitting most threes in games. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when they had Carmelo did the 3 to the dome, and that was the Knicks tape. And so you named your album after that era. It seems like
that was to me, that was besides the Pat Ewing and John Starks in that era. That was the next most exciting era that I watched in basketball, as far as when it comes to Knicks basketball. You know, we was actually playing with purpose. Made it to the playoffs. We was okay, man. We was okay. I started seeing some hope with us, and you know, then we just went right back down. But you know, I'm still here forever, man. This Knicks forever, man. So that era definitely inspired me to make the tape called Knicktape, because you know that's where it started at. You know,
right
for me.
So now we're gonna go back to the '90s Knicks. I got a little story to tell both of you guys. You might, of course, you guys don't know, but as far as the Knickstape go, you know, the song that I used for my intro, you know, in the chorus they saying "Go New York, Go New York, Go." I remember when I was a little boy, right? So I had the whole John Starks uniform, you know, the one with the black trim. I had the basketball shorts. I had the whole jersey and everything. And that song, Go New York, Go New York, Go, my father had the actual tape. It's funny you call it Knickstape because he had that tape. I don't remember where he got it from. I think it was Nobody Beats the Wiz. Paul, you remember Nobody Beats the Wiz, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So I think he got it from Nobody Beats the Wiz. And it had 2 sides, an A and a B side, which is with like I think an instrumental version and then a regular version. I used to play that all the time. The Go New York, Go New York, Go. So that's crazy that, you know, both of you guys are on the show. You're here to talk about the 90s and the John Starks and Patrick Ewing era, and you're talking about the music, and you see how everything just correlates from the 90s until now. So, Paul, I just wanted to ask you, did you have like any personal relationships with the players or coaches from the Knicks of the 90s that you decided to write a book on?
No, I didn't. I didn't have any relationships going into it. I just, you know, worked really hard to interview guys, get people on the phone and talk to them, and I ended up interviewing 90-something people for the book. So, but no, I didn't really have any interviews going in, any relationships going in.
Okay, so when you decided to interview them, like Name some of the people that that some of our audience who know today that you interviewed that they could relate to.
Yeah, Starks, Oakley, Van Gundy, Larry Johnson, Charlie Ward, Chris Childs, guys like that. A lot more.
Okay.
Wow.
So,
Amazing.
yeah, that is definitely was amazing.
Amazing.
So, is there any stories that Starks or Ewing or Oakley or one of those guys personally told you that you would like to share with the audience?
There's some really good stories about Oakley.
Okay.
That I got. People told me, for starters, there's a famous story where in 1999 he smacked Barkley in the face at they just had the lockout, and at the end of the lockout, the players, they had like a new agreement in place, and the players had to come together to meet and discuss it and vote on it.
Right.
And Oak shows up, and Barkley had been talking some smack about Oak, and Oak had heard about it, and Oak shows up, and Barkley sticks out his hand, and Oak just, open hand, just whack right across his face. And Barkley ran away and wasn't seen again for the rest of the day. So there were some good Oak stories. I mean, I heard about Oak got in a fight in the late 80s with his teammate Sidney Green. He started throwing punches on the team plane at like 35,000 feet in the air. He's going after the guy on the plane. A few times he went up to Tyrone Hill because Tyrone Hill owed him money. Once he knocked him out cold before a game.
Wow.
So there was a lot of good Oak stories.
Right.
But as tough as he was, the cool thing about Oak was, everybody, it seemed like everybody I talked to had an Oak story, and most of them, 70% of them, were about what a tough, physical, scary dude he was, and maybe 30% were about what a great guy he was, kind, caring, sensitive. A few people told me, used the word sweetheart to describe Charles Oakley, which was I never expected to hear that word.
Right.
So it was cool to find out, kind of the other side of some of these guys.
Right. So basically, you're saying Charles Oakley was like a Sour Patch.
Yeah, that's right. I like that.
1 minute he's sweet, but you get on his bad side, and it's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you were one of his guys, he would do anything for you, anything.
Right.
Wow.
Right, and
and low people too. Like, I heard a great story. I talked to the guy who was a ball boy for the team, and for his eighth grade dance, Oakley gave the kid his car and a driver to take him to the 8th grade dance.
Wow.
Just stuff, and that's just a ball boy, So just stuff like that. He was a very big-hearted, kind person. He's got a mean side.
right. Definitely, yeah. The 90s Knicks, man, was a tough Knicks, and they had a lot of tough players on their team. One of the things I remember growing up is, I guess, the Chicago Bulls. You remember when Derek Harper, I never even knew who JoJo English was. The only reason why I know JoJo English is because they subbed him in the game. I don't know how much time, it was like 2 minutes left in the game. And he came and he just hit Derek Harper like flagrant foul, and Derek Harper was not having it. And then it turned out to in a brawl. And the Knicks was known. The 90s. Go ahead.
Yeah, Harper body slammed him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So did you ever get to talk to Derek Harper?
That's a fact.
What's that?
I said, did you ever get to talk to Derek Harper?
I did, yeah. I brought that up. He was, he regrets it. He regrets it because he felt like he hurt the team. I mean, he said, he was basically like, look, the guy was in my face saying, let's go. So he goes, where I come from, somebody says that to you, you go. So he was, I wasn't backing down. But he regretted it a bit because he felt like it hurt the team a little bit.
Right. And growing up, John Starks was one of my favorite players. Like I said, I had the jersey and everything like that. And we knew John Starks was kind of like, if you remember Vernon Maxwell, he was known as a hothead, kind of like Vernon Maxwell was. And I always wanted to see them two go at it because, they play with so much intensity, right? So they want to win bad. They're diving on the floor. You're doing whatever it takes, but like you double cross them, and they're ready to fight at a split second. So we saw episodes where John Starks would kick the ball into the stands and everything like that. This is all during the middle of a game. So I just wonder if there's any crazy stories they had about John Starks in the locker room that people don't know.
Well, I'll tell you something funny quickly. I will get to that, but I actually talked to Vernon Maxwell because I want to talk about the '94 finals.
Right.
And he told me John Starks. You said John Starks is his brother from another mother. They're twins. They're twins. But yeah, he was fiery. He would get on guys. He had an altercation with Charles Smith once in the locker room. He felt Charles Smith wasn't going hard enough,
right.
and Charles Smith's a lot bigger than Starks. Starks got in his face and started going off like, "Hey, you need to play harder. You need to be more physical." And Smith took off his shoe and threw it at Starks, and then they went at it and they had to be pulled apart. He was tough. He was a competitor. He was very competitive. Like even in practice they do like shooting contests and stuff like that, and he'd be talking smack the whole time, and if he beat you, if he won a shooting contest, he'd let everybody know about it for the next week. Like, he's just a very competitive guy.
Right.
That's what's up.
Right. So I got a John Starks story for you guys to tell you guys about. So of course, I played basketball in high school and I played basketball in college. And when I first left college, right, in between trying to go pro, I actually trained kids at the YMCA. So I had this guy, Robert Bingle Smith. He was well associated with the NBA. Like he did the Junior Knicks program with them. And John Starks had came to the YMCA while we was training the kids. And Bingo had told him about me. He said, "Yo, we got this guy, Darren Travis, right here. John, I don't know what you could do for him, but right now he's working at the YMBA, but he's a really good basketball player. Like, if you could just like exchange numbers for him and maybe help him out, as far as his basketball career goes, I would really appreciate that." Now, John Starks don't know me from a hole in the wall at all. Don't know me from a hole in the wall, but he exchanged numbers with me, right? And I like within a week or so, me and him was talking on the phone. And if you know Chris Alpert, who was running the G League back then,
right?
He was running the G League back then. That was in the 2000. When was that? Like 2007, 2008, maybe.
Yeah, 2008.
Yeah. So he was running the G League, and I think, don't quote me on this, but I think Chris Alpert was dating John Starks' sister. I believe that's the connection there. I believe. Unless it's the other way around. Unless John is dating Chris's sister. You get what I'm saying? Well, I forgot the connection. But anyway, he put in the word for me with Chris. I went down to a tryout for the Reno Bighorns. The Reno Bighorns was associated with the Knicks back then. I killed it. I did my thing and everything. The coach liked me, and I was supposed to get invited to training camp. But remember, I'm kind of like a walk-on from the street. They really don't know me like that, whatever. I did really good in the tryouts. I'm just about to make it. And you want to know a funny story about this? This has to do with Patrick Ewing too. So John Starks put in the word for me. I'm forever grateful. I was about to go to training camp. But if you remember that year, that is the year that Patrick Ewing Jr. was on the Knicks. And he didn't make the actual team, but they sent him down to the G League. So when they sent Patrick Ewing down to the G League, goodbye to me. I had to get released. So John Starks helped me out, and Patrick Ewing Jr. got me sent out of the G League. So
that's a good story. That's really nice to start.
Yeah,
that is right.
Yeah, so that's what happened to me. But I ended up going overseas and playing Italy, so I was forever grateful for that. But what about you, Drugz? You got any Knicks stories you want to tell us about?
Oh man, like a lot of my Knicks stories is be at home, man, fussing at the TV, going crazy. But my first time at the Garden was the funniest time ever in life. So they got me sitting all the way like in the highest, my girlfriend at the time got me the nosebleed seats. I'm sitting high in the nosebleeds. So we sitting in the front row. I don't like height. I'm like, so we sat, so I got my drinks and I come out to the seats and I seen that we were sitting in the front row. I was like, oh hell no. So I talked to one of the guards there They was like, yo, we can get you down a little closer. So I was like, almost, I guess some people that were supposed to come didn't come. So we actually got real close, almost like close to the floor. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. Just so for me acting crazy, like, yo, I'm about to leave because, you know, I'm scared of heights. I can't be watching the game this high up. Yo, and that was my crazy garden story, man. But I never met none of the players. Matter of fact, I met Anthony Mason. One time we was in a strip club. I met Anthony Mason, and we was down in the city. I forgot what strip club. It was like one of them hole in the wall joints, and we went and I had bumped into him. I'm like, yo, Anthony Mason, what's good, man? He's like, man, the girls in here, they trash, they whack. I'm like, yeah, I'm out of here. And then that's it. We dapped up on the way out on the elevator. And then I was out, man. So
wow, yeah.
That was cool, man. I did meet Anthony Mason, man.
Rest in peace to Anthony Mason. Yes.
Rest in peace to him, man.
Yo, you just reminded me. Yo, the stories just come back. But one more story. Anthony Mason. Yeah. Across the street from my house when I was younger, there was a park called Wingate Park in Brooklyn. And when I was younger, like I said, I was a John Stark fan. But as I got older, I also liked Kobe. So one of my Knicks names in the park, they used to call me Kobe. You know, because I was a good player and I used to emulate his game because he was one of my favorite players. And in that park, just randomly, like on Thursday night out of nowhere, Anthony Mason just showed up and started playing pickleball with us, and it was so dope. Like he came to the park and was playing full court basketball with us, and he was so cool. Like he was like giving everybody a pound, signing autographs, and just like one of the fellas. He was so down to earth and so cool. So I forgot about that story about Anthony Mason. But
yeah,
Paul,
man, Anthony Mason, cool, man.
Right. So Paul, so you told the stories about, you know, the players, you know, getting in altercations with each other. Have you ever been confronted by somebody, like a player, over something that you wrote and they wasn't feeling what you wrote, and did they ever like try to come to you and confront you about something that you wrote about them in a book?
No, I haven't had that. I haven't had that yet.
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but no.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sure, you know, there are definitely some things in there that guys won't like, you know, but that's you gotta include all that.
Part of journalism.
Yeah, it's definitely part of journalism. Yeah. So so as far as the book goes, like, do you see yourself writing another book about the Knicks? Well, if they become good again, like the 90s, is that something which you would want to pursue, or you feel like, that was just a one-time thing?
Yeah, I'd be open to it. I'm not sure. I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to think of a next project. I'm not sure which way to go. I mean, you know, people said to me you should write about the Dolan years because, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
But I don't know. I think it'd be too depressing, man.
We need to go down that journey, man. We definitely need to, you know, see what's going on with that front office, man. We had a lot of bad years in the front office, man.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are a lot of good stories in there.
Right.
I'm sure there are a lot of good stories, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if people really want to read about the last 20 years.
No, man. We want to actually
be surprised.
I want you to come out a book within the next 5 years, and hopefully we have a good next 5 years for you to write something positive about, some playoff years.
There you go.
Some playoff
That's
years.
what I'm hoping for. Yeah, I talked to Thibodeau for the book because, you know, he was an assistant with the team in the 90s.
Right.
So I talked to him, and he was great. He's so different than like his appearance. You know, he seems like this gruff, like mean guy. Mm-hmm. He was so nice and friendly and joking around and just very cool, laid back guy, which surprised me. But I'm optimistic about him. I like his approach, and even the first 5 games, I guess they're playing defense better than they have in years. Like, I mean, they're getting after it. They're getting after it in a way that they haven't in a while, you know. And and even on offense, like they're moving the ball more. They're playing better defense. These are all good signs, you know. I think they still have a long way to go, and you know they don't have the talent there yet. But I think he's the right guy, and I like what I see so far. Right. I mean, you look at Quebec. You know, the team is very similar to what it was under Fizdale last year, and you look at the way they're competing and just the structure of the offense, and it's like night and day from last year.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
I think
we were talking about that.
Yeah, I think the difference is that they Coach Tom Thibodeau was holding them accountable for their actions on the court. So if you're not playing hard or you're not playing defense, you know you're going to be on the bench. So with that being said, everybody's going out there giving 100%. I mean, you should be doing that anyway. But sometimes coaches, if you have a big name, coaches will let you slack off every once in a while. But I guess Tibbs is treating everybody equally. So when you wrote the book in the 90s, I know you said Tibbs was the assistant coach. Who was the head coach? Was it Pat Riley or was it Jeff Van Gundy?
So both. So in the whole 90s, Riley was there 91 to 95. Mm-hmm. And then when he left, they actually brought in Don Nelson he didn't even make it for a whole season, 55 games. He got fired and Van Gundy replaced him. And then Van Gundy was there until 2001. So I kind of covered Riley and Van Gundy.
Oh, so you was able to interview both of them?
I didn't get to speak to Riley.
Oh.
I spoke to Van Gundy. I couldn't get to Riley. He doesn't do many interviews these days.
Right.
He's like the Godfather. You can't get
Godfather. Oh, of course. You can't get to Riley right now.
But I talked to Van Gundy. Van Gundy was great, and I talked to his brother Stan too, because Stan was the Knicks had that great rivalry with the Heat, and Stan was an assistant coach of the Miami Heat at that time. So I talked to him as well. He was really helpful.
Did you ask Jeff Van Gundy what was he thinking when he was grabbing on Alonzo Foot's leg? When he jumped in there and he was getting tossed like a rag doll.
That was crazy.
It's crazy, right? But Jeff Van Gundy, he coached the Knicks for a number of years. He coached the Rockets for 4 or 5 years. He's had a nice career. Been obviously a very well-known broadcaster now for many years.
Right.
But the defining image of his career is hanging from Alonzo's leg.
Right.
Yeah.
He told me he doesn't remember it. he said, so basically he said he went out there to try and break it up, and he kind of got caught a little bit by Larry Johnson, threw a punch and caught Van Gundy a little bit, and he said he fell to the floor and he was dazed. And he doesn't remember. And he thinks he just, out of desperation, was just trying to grab onto anything, and it would happen to be Alonzo's leg, but he claims he doesn't even remember it.
Wow. And the crazy thing about that fight is that Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning was good friends, right? But the rivalry just caused them.
Yeah, it went bad. It went bad when they were because they played in Charlotte together.
Right.
They were friends initially, and then they kind of had a falling out in Charlotte. So there was a background to that. There was some beef there leading up to that.
Right. So let me ask you a question. I know you decided to write about the 90s Knicks, and I was talking about playing basketball. Did you actually play basketball yourself when you was younger, or do you play basketball now?
So I played high school. I played for my high school team, and that was it. I haven't played in years now. I played, throughout my 20s into my 30s. I played a lot of pickup ball,
right.
But I haven't played in a while now.
Right. And what about you, Drugz?
They used to call me John Starks, brother. That's right. But I played for my high school team, junior high school. I didn't pursue anything past that.
Right.
But I definitely played high school ball, and I played junior high school. Got a lot of trophies, so I was a basketball head, man. That's what actually introduced me to the Knicks, because everybody in my neighborhood was Knicks fans. Mm-hmm. I happened to grow up in a neighborhood where everybody was Knicks fans, so we was all somebody. One of us was Pat Ewing. I was John Starks. My man was Mason. You know what I mean? So that's how I grew up, man. You know what I mean? So that's how Knicks fan.
I always thought John Starks had one of the nicest jumpers in the NBA until Allen Houston came, and then I think Allen Houston got one of the prettiest jump shots I ever seen ever.
Oh yeah.
Everybody likes to talk about Ray Allen, but me personally, I like Allen Houston's form better than Ray Allen's. Even when I train kids, I teach them I show them Allen Houston that's the perfect form to use when you shoot the jump shot.
There was the Knicks tweeted out a few days ago. They tweeted out a video clip of Allen Houston the other day, knocking down threes from the Garden.
Yeah,
I don't know what he's probably about 50 now, but just saying swish, 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 same beautiful stroke. You don't lose it.
Right.
You got to get him a jersey. Put him back on the floor.
Yeah, we could use that shooting right now.
Definitely.
We definitely could.
Definitely. So, Drugz, as far as rapping going, right? After this Knickstape album, where do you see your career heading after this? Like, what do you want to do with this Knickstape?
I mean, this Knickstape is doing a lot, and I salute everybody that's been tapping in. I've been having a lot of fans, a lot of people been jumping behind the project. So I appreciate everybody who's been checking on that. But I got tons of music, man. Before I dropped Knickstape, I dropped the album before Knickstape. You know what I mean? So I dropped actually 2 albums back to back.
Okay. What was the name of that album?
I already got the one I dropped before Knickstape was Cartel Wars.
Okay.
Then I dropped Knickstape, and then I got like 4 albums coming out, within this year. Probably maybe even 5. So, we work. Wow. We studio halls, man. We stay in the studio. We work, man.
That's good.
So we got a lot of projects coming out. Yeah.
All right.
That's a lot of you put in work. Wow.
Yeah, I put in work. I live in that studio, man. I live in it. So
Drugz, listen.
It's a lot of good music coming out.
Listen, I got a funny story for you, right? So check this out. Since we're talking about rapping, of course, I was a basketball player in high school, but in my high school, they had the kids that used to rap. They used to be on like the local channels, and they used to battle each other. And every time I used to hear a beat, every once in a while, I used to write a little something down, right? And I used to write it down, and I used to do it for fun because I like to rap too. So one day I got the courage. I made a little in my living room. I had like a microphone, a beat. I made a couple of songs on there. I brought it to school, and I didn't tell the people it was me though. So I just said, "Oh, what you think about this, man? This is a new song I just heard." And like, "Oh, that song is hot. That song is fire. Who's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's me, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, right. That's not you, man. That's not you, right?" So then once they started telling me that they liked it, I started getting more confidence. I started rapping more, right? But so then one day, if you know the music group, the Rough Riders, they came to my high school, the Rough Riders street team. They came to my high school, and my cousin at the time, he knew them. So they said, "Who raps here in the school? We want to take you to the studio." So I said, "Me, of course." So they took me and a couple other dudes. They gave us some Rough Rider shirts, Rough Rider hats, hoodies, all of that. We had stopped by a liquor store, and Styles P was there. So I said, "What's up to Styles P?" Everything was cool. I never drunk before in my life. This is why I had to tell you about the story about drinking. I never drunk. I was a basketball player. They gave us like pizza. Wow. They like gave us a whole bunch of pizza, a bottle of Henny. This is the first time I ever drank Hennessy in my life, right? So they gave it to me and my cousin in a cup, and we sipped it, right? And it was so disgusting. I was like, "Yo, people actually drink this," and I spit it out, right? I took the cup, but I wanted to be cool though, right? So I spit it out,
right?
And I held the cup in my hand like this. And then they said, "All right, guys, you ready to go to the studio? We got somebody that you want to battle, all right?" So then we go to the studio. We get in the studio. This guy with a hoodie is standing there, like mad tough with big full surface chain on him. I'm like, guess who it is? It's Cassidy. Right?
Cassidy. Cassidy.
And Cassidy and Swiss Beats is in there. So now, they're like, "All right, so which one of you guys rap? We're going to battle Cassidy." So then he went against some dude, killed him, whatever, right? Destroyed him. Me, like I told you, I only rap for fun. So in my head, I only had like 2 or 3 raps memorized, right? Cassidy was going on and on and on and on and on. Then they got to me and it was like, "Darren, don't you rap? Step up." No, I'm good. And that was I said, I'm sticking to basketball. Like I saw the way that he went so hard, like how he took so serious. I said, "Nah, I'm not on his level. This is how I am in basketball. Let me stick to basketball." So I just
I hear you. Cassidy was a beast.
Yeah, so I just
make good music.
I just forget about the battle. I just stick to doing it for fun. But
Jay-Z was my favorite artist of all time. I studied Jay in and out. That was my favorite artist. Biggie, the Nas, the Tupac. I feel like 90s music really influenced me on another level. Wu-Tang, listening to Wu-Tang. So those are some of the cats I really rock with. This new era, I really don't. There's not really too many dudes I can even name because to be honest, I don't really listen to a lot of dudes' music. But I think Griselda, they doing their thing. So it's just a few people, but I really don't have no influences now. You know what I'm saying? But coming up, that was what I used to listen to all the time, especially Jay-Z. Jay-Z was my favorite rapper. So.
What about the Locks? Did you listen to the Locks? And I was telling.
Oh yeah, I listened to the Locks. I like the Locks. I like Nori. That's the era of music I like. You know what I'm saying? The Call Megas in the world. You know, people like that. So, but this era,
a lot of people say that was the golden age.
That was the golden age, man. That was the golden age of hip hop to me. Like, you know, that was the best era of hip hop where you actually couldn't sound like somebody else. You had to have your own identity to be somebody. You couldn't sound like everything that's on the radio. And if you was considered whack. You know what I'm saying? You was a biter. You was a fraud. So I liked it that era. It was competitive. Just like the sports in that era. The sports in that era was competitive. The music was the same thing. Today, you don't get the same vibe. So I just make music for my core fans. I know my core fans. I study my niche. I know the business in and out. So I just try to really stay within my fans. I don't try to make music for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I make music for the people that appreciate raw, rugged, New York hip-hop. Not the new York, but New York hip-hop. Like, if you listen to my tapes and my music, you'll get that New York feel, definitely. And shout out to my producers, The Magician, Dunbars, and Born Fifth Child. Like, they help me with my sound a lot, man. And all three of them is from some different places. One is from New York, one is from D.C., and one is from Cali. So we all come together, and we make this good music, man. Put this music out. Right.
Well, that's a perfect transition as we transition in from 90s rappers to rappers nowadays. Let's do the same thing for basketball players as far as the Knicks go. Like the 90s Knicks, how would you compare them to the Knicks of today, the Knicks that we have on this roster, or the Knicks that we had last year? Do you see the same toughness in these players? And you know, the rules has changed quite differently than from the 90s. It's no more hand checking. The three-point line is a little bit further. You can't go underneath shooters when they shoot now. You got to give them space. You can't bump cutters anymore if it's called impeding their progress. You know, you think the NBA now is a little too soft, or they just trying to promote more offense for the younger generation? What do you think, Paul?
I think both. You know, I mean, I think it's nice in a way. You know, you can. You know, I talked to Rod Thorne, who worked for the NBA for a long time, because he, you know, in the late 90s, they had the Knicks and Heat brawl, and all those Knicks got suspended. The Knicks lost the series because of it in '97. And I asked him about some of the rule changes and stuff, and he said he felt like strength and physicality was overmatching skill, and that because when you allow guys to be that physical, you weren't seeing some of the skills, you know. And like people ask me about like how would Steph Curry have done in the '90s? Yeah, I mean, he's Steph Curry. He's got crazy game, but like they would have been all over him. He couldn't move around. Him, Kyrie's another one. Like they wouldn't have the freedom to do what they do with their handles and move around the way they do.
I agree.
So it's a different game. I think it's good in that you can see the skill now. People are able to showcase their skill more. But for guys like you and I, who grew up on that 90s stuff, I think you're missing a little bit of the toughness. I think the physicality, I think it did bring something to it. I think it's almost too easy to score now, especially with the three-pointers, man. I mean, guys, they just camp out behind the line and just...
Right.
You know, we talk about Allen Houston. Allen Houston, he'd be scoring like 30 points a game now. You know, he'd be like I don't know, like a Devin Booker or something like that.
Right, exactly.
You know, just shooting like crazy. But back then, it was... He had to fight physically to get loose to get that shot off.
And then the fouls, you know, like the fouls has changed. Like any minor sneeze or like minor touch stuff play now is a foul. Back then, they used to rough you up, throw you on the ground, and then they'd get a foul. You know what I'm saying? Think about what the Detroit Pistons was doing. You know what I'm saying? Curry couldn't survive what the Detroit Pistons was doing or what the '90 Knicks was doing. He wouldn't make it. They wouldn't make it in that era, man. They not built for that. So, the new style of basketball to me is just I don't like it because people just live on the 3-point line. before I like to see basketball moving around, scoring, get some dunks in the paint, even some post up moves, post up fadeaways. Everything now is living on the 3-point line. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have a 3-point shot for your team to get a chance to win. Look at the scoring. They scoring 136 points a game. That's the norm.
Right.
Remember, back in the day,
80, 85. You're lucky if you get 80, 85 points.
The game probably be over at 90. Or 85. The game is over. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, I think
it's a big transition, man.
They wanted to, like, for the younger generation, that some of those games might have been boring and they want to show the skills off more. But like you said, the fouls, I think they got to calm down with the fouls, because sometimes you see a guy going for a layup and a guy goes for a block and maybe a forearm hits in the head. Next thing you know, it's a flagrant. It clearly he didn't do that on purpose, right? But every little thing that now is a flagrant foul, and I think that's ridiculous. They're gonna have to cut back on the flagrant fouls now. But who on the Knicks team you think now has the toughness? You think Julius Randle could play in the 90s?
Yeah, I think Randle's tough. Trying to think who else.
Randle, I would say RJ.
RJ, he likes the physicality.
RJ not so.
Yeah.
He ain't so. RJ. That's about it for me.
Might be it.
Everybody
sometimes I see guys around the league and I'm like, he's got that dog in him. He could have played with the 90 Knicks. There's
like
some guys like a Marcus Morris had it, or like a Marcus. You don't have to be big, like a Marcus Smart. Or like Draymond could have. Because even got guys like John Starks was tough as hell, and Derek Harper and even Chris Childs was really tough guys. And they're not big guys. You don't have to be big to be tough. You just have to. Patrick Beverley's really tough.
Right.
And he's 6
He would have been good in the 90s too. He would have been good.
I know. Frank is quiet, but he gets in people's face and plays. Do you think Frank could have survived in the 90s? Frank Ntilikina?
No.
No.
You're not even surviving in this episode. So could you imagine back then? He probably would have never seen a floor. He probably would have been a towel boy or something, man. Ntilikina ain't built for that. Come on, man.
All right, so let's break down.
He's not built for this era.
So let's break down again. What do you think about Julius Randle and his game this year and what he has shown this year? I'll start with you, Paul. What you think about Julius Randle?
I'm really impressed. Mm-hmm. Really impressed. Because, a lot of people were ready to run him out of town. They want to get rid of him. And I did too. I was very frustrated with the way he played. And I felt like he wasn't a great fit for the young guys, because you have RJ can't shoot, Mitch can't shoot. So, Randle, he can't shoot the three either. So I would have liked some shooting around. If those guys are the guys you're trying to build around, I would have liked some shooting around them. Mm-hmm. But last year, the couple things that he's doing much better is he's not, I think, obviously he's passing better, right? He's passing the ball a lot more. And I think in general, he's making a lot quicker decisions with the ball. Mm-hmm. Last year he just dribble, he start pounding, and then eventually he'd do his little spin move in the lane and get stripped. But he's making kind of quicker decisions. Either, all right, I got it, let me make my move, or he's getting rid of it and moving it on. And so he's playing smarter and much more unselfish, and it's been great. I didn't know he had this in him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, Drugz, you have anything you want to say at Julius Randle, or did he cover it all?
I think it's just overall patience. He got patience for the game. He's actually buying into the system. To this system that Zip's putting out, you could tell that he's buying in.
Right.
We just like Paul said, we just need some shooters around him. Because like I was telling you before, I think he can average 10 triple doubles this year with our players shooting the right way. You know what I'm saying? And we was actually, before this game, we was kind of leading the NBA in three-point shooting.
Exactly.
So maybe if we can kind of get that back, that'll open up the floor for him to do what he needs to do. But I like the fact that not just Julius Randle, but Tibbs is holding these players accountable.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure they drilled it into him like, yo, you spin, you going on the bench. That's it. There's no spinning and turnovers on this court. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I'm pretty sure, he got that message. So I think Julius Randle's all right, man. I think he's going to be okay. If he keeps it up on where he at right now, I think it's an all-star season.
Right.
Me personally.
But like you and Paul said, I totally agree with as far as shooting, because I feel like him and R.J. Barrett needs better spacing in order for their games to excel. So I know Tom likes Elfrid Payton, right? But if you're going to have Julius Randle and R.J. Barrett starting, both of them who like to penetrate and kick out to shooters, you need your small forward to be able to hit the three. You need your point guard to be able to hit the three. And you need your center to at least to hit mid-range shots so they can spread the floor. If you notice last game, what happened was the Knicks shot terrible from the three-point line. And you could see Julius Randle start to reverting back to his old ways because it was crowded in the paint. And he didn't have the confidence, during late in the game to kick it out because everybody was missing their shots that game. So you would see he would get double team and triple team. I think that's one of the things that Quickly could bring to the Knicks as far as spacing. And hopefully when Burke comes back, they could start Burke also, and Burke could help spacing. And then you also got Austin Rivers. So speaking of that, like as far as the floor spacing and everything goes, RJ needs that also. What do you think about RJ's game this year and how he should improve? How did he improve, or how can he improve? We're gonna go with you, Paul, first. RJ Barrett.
Yeah, I think he looks good, which is funny to say because the shooting's been awful. I mean, I think he's missed 21 threes in a row now or something.
Yeah,
it's crazy, right?
That's bad.
So that's troubling. But we kind of knew that he's got to work on his shot. But I think the decision making is a little better. I think it seems like the game has slowed down for him a little bit. I don't have a problem with the shots he's taking. If he's open, he's got to shoot it. He's out there.
Right.
He's out there. If he's getting wide open threes, he's got to shoot it. I don't feel like he's forcing the shot. I think he's taking good shots. It's got to get better. That's the big thing. But I like him. The biggest thing with him is I think he does a lot of things well. He rebounds well for a guard. He passes the ball pretty well. And my biggest thing is he gets to the basket. He gets the basket and he uses his body and gets to the line. I'm not comparing them as overall, but he reminds me a little of like Jimmy Butler like that, and that he gets the basket and draws contact. Now, obviously, he's no Jimmy Butler yet. Hopefully, maybe one day he could be. Jimmy Butler's a great player, but that to me, that's the best part of his game. And of course, that becomes so much more dangerous if people have to respect your jumper. Now they don't respect his jumper.
Right.
That's going to be years. Hopefully in a few years he'll have. That's not going to. He's not going to continue to miss 21 in a row. That's just a really cold streak, and that should get better. But hopefully over a couple of years, he'll become at least average. Even if he's just an average 3-point shooter with his ability to get to the basket, that's huge.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to add something to that. As far as you said, RJ's been working on his game. One thing I noticed after the first 3 games that they played is that I know he's been working on the 3-point shot, right? But I would say this, a little adjustment he has to make is, even though he's been working on it, I don't think his first shot of the game should be a 3-pointer. I think that's where he goes wrong, right? You start inside and work your way out. Even if you have the 3-pointer, take one dribble, step in and get. I think since he's not a pure shooter, he's gonna have to do it from the rhythm of the game, right? So the first pass you get, you wide open for a 3. Even though you're wide open, you're not a natural shooter. You're gonna be a rhythm shooter. So he should take one dribble in, take a mid range, go to the basket, see the ball go in the hole a couple of times. Then you start taking the 3. I think that's what he needs to do more this year instead of just letting him go. I know he's confident now because he worked on it, but I think he needs to do it in the flow of the game more and not just. I know he's open, but when that's not really your game, you step in. Like if you notice Jimmy Butler, even during the NBA Finals, a lot of times he was open for 3, but he will pump fake and get to the spot that he wants to go to and try to score there. And that's what I think RJ needs to do more. What do you think, Drugz?
The thing I like about RJ Barrett is mentality. He got that. I think he got that killer mentality, and you can tell even if he's having a bad game, he's not flustered. He's not out the game. You know what I'm saying? He's still playing defense, and he's doing stats that we don't see. Playing defense and maybe even grabbing rebounds that game if he's having a cold game. I just think right now, like y'all both said, this shooting will get better. it will get better with time. I think he needs to go back to bully ball. Just go back full bully ball. See what that does. If that, if besides the bully ball, try to develop a mid-range, then you just start opening yourself up for that three-point shot. You know what I mean? So I just think it's levels to his game. But, I love RJ Barrett, and I know he's our cornerstone, and he's our future. You know what I'm saying? I have no questions about that. You know what I'm saying? RJ is definitely the next future.
All right, so...
And Darren, go back to what you're saying with it. A lot of it is spacing too. If they're crowding the paint on the Knicks and they're zoning up a lot. It's Jimmy Butler. You're right. RJ should play more like that. But Jimmy Butler's got Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero and other guys spreading the floor.
Oh, yeah.
And RJ has got Mitch and Alfred Payton and Julius Randle out there with him. So they're zoning up on him, and that's making it tougher to do that. But I agree 100%. There's something about, even just from the foul line, about seeing that ball go in the basket.
Yeah, and you get more confidence. Yeah, so we talking about RJ. We talked about Julius Randle. Our other cornerstone pieces, Mitchell Robinson. I think we're going to finish up with him. I'm a little disappointed in Mitchell Robinson. He's doing better with the fouls. I'm going to tell you why. The reason why I'm disappointed with him is because every summer he shows off that jump shot that he can hit threes. I wanted Mitchell Robinson on the Knicks because I saw his high school highlights. He was shooting threes in high school. So I don't know why when he gets to the NBA, he doesn't have the confidence. If you watch when he's looking to hand off the ball, the guy's like in the paint sagging off of him. Even if he don't shoot a three, shoot a little mid-range jump shot. It's like he hasn't built up the confidence yet to shoot a jump shot in the game, even though he works on it all summer. But other than that, I have no complaints about him. But like you guys said, for Julius Randle and RJ Barrett really to thrive on the court, the big man has to be able to hit some jump shots also. So, Paul, what do you think about Mitchell Robinson?
Yeah, I always find the summer tapes funny. They show like on Instagram. You got the summer. I don't care how many threes you're hitting in the summer. I don't care. And who knows? You could shoot 10 hours of film and finally get one. Get yourself hitting 3 in a row, and you put it on Instagram.
Right.
So that's always funny to me. But you're right. There's no. I like to see Mitch have something. Some kind of, even like a mini hook, something. Even just. If there's a mouse in the house, you get a point guard on you. He can't even take advantage of that. On a switch, you got to have some go-to move that you. I know we don't play a lot of post-up ball anymore in this league, but if you find yourself with a real mismatch, you have to have some go-to move that you could score with. But it doesn't have to be threes. It's a three-happy league, but you're exactly right, Darren. Like, if he can hit a jumper from the elbow, that creates a lot more space, and you could have guys cut off of him, and creates different passing angles and stuff like that. So I agree. I don't know what's going on with that. I mean, he's gotten better. He's improved. Obviously, mostly like his feel for the game. And just staying out on the court has gotten better. He also, I think he needs to learn too about when. You see a lot of times, it happened a few times the other night with the Cavs, where he goes to block a shot, doesn't get the shot, and then his man, like Andre Drummond, gets an easy putback.
Right.
And that happens a lot to Mitch. Like, you have to pick your spots when to try and block the shot and when not to. And so that's a feel thing. That's something he's got to learn. But I agree. It'd be great if he had some kind of offensive game.
Right, right. I just thought that they was going to help him with that because, when Amari was here, right, he really didn't have a post-up game like that, right? But Mike Woodson got in his ear, told him to work on that. And he actually had Akeem Olajuwon help him. And he worked out with Akeem Olajuwon. So with Kenny Payne here and Tom Thibodeau and Mike Woodson also, I thought maybe he was going to show more confidence. But right now he's still the same player as last year. He sets a pick and he rolls to the basket. It's either you're going to hit him on a cut or you're going to throw an alley. And I feel like we need to see more. What you think, Drugz?
I want to see him shoot that three. When he make the screen on the top of the key at the perimeter, and sometimes I'll be seeing him smack open, right? And then he's just looking to pass the ball. That's your opportunity right there. Take the shot, man. Shoot that three, Mitch. I mean, if you fail, you clunk him. We know that's not what you do. You know what I'm saying? But let's see you try. Let's see you try to make that defense a little bit more honest when they come down to you, man, because they're just leaving you open. They're just letting you do what you do at the top of the key. So I would want to see Mitch just start shooting more, man. Shoot the ball. Like you said, like Paul said, just come in there with a little hook shot. You know, whenever he could, it's going to be rough. But I want to see Mitch really hit that three, man. And I think that'll open up the floor for us. Even if we get one big man that go, because think about it, we don't have no stretch at the 5 and the 4. Who's gonna do that for us? I mean, we was banking on Obi. I don't know if Obi's gonna be that for us, but we don't have no big man that's gonna open that floor up. You know what I'm saying? So I think we really need to start working towards that. You know what I mean? Get it. Whether it's the next draft, everybody want a point guard, and I do too, but. We got a lot of needs that we need to fill, and I think one of them we need to get a big man that can shoot, man, because that'll make a world of difference for us when we're trying to do.
Right. I feel like you said, I think they might experiment a little bit with Obi at the 5 and Randall at the 4 this year, just to get better spacing. Like you said, because they see what we see. They're smart. The coaches are smart. They know that teams are starting to zone up and wall up against us. So. You're going to see quickly in the game. You're going to see Obi and Randall in the game. You're going to see, if Kevin Knox is hitting, you're going to see him in the game. If he's not hitting, then you're going to see Burks in the game. So, speaking of that, the Knicks got a game coming on right now. I know you guys are excited. You want to see. I think, who's coming back today? I think Quickly is probable, so he might play, right?
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah, he might be back.
He might be back. So hopefully, last game was just an enigma. They had a bad game, and this game, they can't shoot the same like they did last game, So hopefully tonight they bring the A game, and we get a W. But other than that, man, listen, it was great having both of you guys on the show. I really appreciate you, Paul. I appreciate you, Drugz Only, for coming on. Go ahead, Paul. Tell them, the fans and the audience, where they can find you at, or if your next project you got coming out. Anything you want to say before you go?
Yeah, no, I mean, you can get my book on Amazon or BarnesandNoble.com, really, anywhere they sell books. And that's about it, go Knicks. Thanks a lot for having me on. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, no problem. And go ahead, you Drugz, you want to say
So I want everybody that can follow me at I am Drugz Only on everything. That's Twitter, Facebook, anywhere you could think of. I am Drugz Only. New projects coming out. I got Tony Kill Manolo. That's coming out. I'm gonna do NYK. That's gonna be another Knicks project, but we're gonna say that that's gonna be towards the end of the year. We working on that now. But yeah, man. Shout out to you for having me on the show. Shout out to you for having the intro on the show.
No problem.
I love you, brother. That's a blessing, man.
No
what I mean? Salute to Paul for coming on here. Salute to you, Paul.
Thank you.
Go, man. Knicks forever, man. And everybody go get that book, man. That book is good, man. I think I got mine coming on the way soon, so it's a go. It's a go.
Yes, sir.
New York forever.
New York forever. Guys, I appreciate you once again. You're always welcome back anytime. Hopefully next time you come back, we'll be talking about the great season that the Knicks are having. So anytime you want to come back, just hit me up. Have you guys up. You're welcome here. Once again, this is D-Trav from KnicksatniteTv. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button here on YouTube, or you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook. Or now, thanks to my man Drugz Only, I got a Twitter now, so you can check that out also.
That's right.
All right. Thank you, fellas, man.